Hello, I'm Father Ronald Knott, a priest of the Archdiocese of Louisville in Kentucky. Today I would like to offer you part one of a three-part series I call Managing Change Successfully. As a 76-year-old priest ordained 50 years, I have certainly seen my share of changes. The first 6 years of my seminary training took place in the pre-Vatican II Church, the second 6 years in the post-Vatican II Church. In the last 50 years, I have served as a home missionary, country pastor, cathedral rector, vocation director, campus minister, seminary staff member, international priest convocation presenter, parish mission preacher, a 15-year Catholic Weekly columnist, and now a volunteer in the Caribbean missions. So I've certainly seen my share of changes. The most important charism of a diocesan priest just might be his ability to embrace change. A monk's charism is to settle in one place, while a diocesan priest's charism is a willingness to move from place to place. The most appropriate symbol for a diocesan priest's charism could very possibly be a tent. His promise of obedience is a promise not to be overly attached to his own preference and point of view, all for the sake of the unified diocesan ministry of which he is a part. Even the laity of the diocese share in the charism of the diocesan priest, especially when they embrace one pastor after another over the years. They too are called not to be overly attached to their own preferences and points of view for the sake of the unified diocesan ministry. For priest and parishioner, moving from a point of view to a viewing point is probably the very best way to ensure that unified diocesan ministry. Diocesan priests need to manage their own life changes, but they also need to develop their expertise in teaching the dynamics of change to the people they serve. Phase one of change is managing and ending. We all face changes these days. Some of them are welcomed and some are unwelcomed. Some go smoothly and some do not. Even after lots of changes, our transitions are often left unfinished. So it's important, I think, to understand the difference between a change and a transition. A change is anything that can shake up our understanding of our world and our old priorities. Some familiar examples of change are marriage, graduation, divorce, unemployment, the arrival of a new pastor, leaving the seminary, moving from one pastoral assignment to another, locating to a new city, having a new baby, ordination, a suicide in the family, children leaving home, the elderly entering a nursing home, the publication of a new missal, entering a pandemic, welcoming a new bishop, the death of a parent, or reaching retirement age. A transition, on the other hand, is a three-phase psychological reorientation process that people go through as they are coming to terms with a change. In that process, there is typically an ending, a neutral zone, and finally, a new beginning. A change is what happens outside us. A transition, on the other hand, is what happens within us, inside us. People in transition often go through stages similar to the stages of death and dying. They can respond with denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally, acceptance. It begins with an ending, with people letting go of their old reality and their old identity. Unless people can make a good ending, they will typically be unable to make a successful new beginning. Let me cite two personal examples here, one from my next to the last assignment and the other from my last assignment as a priest. When I was leaving the Cathedral of the Assumption in Louisville as its pastor, after 14 years of nationally recognized revitalization and restoration, there was a movement among the parishioners to name me Pastor Emeritus. That movement was actually revived after 3 intervening pastors when I returned in retirement to help out on the weekends. I would not allow it because I did not want to become some kind of shadow pastor. In fact, I gave a homily series before I left, preparing the people to let go. I told them, for instance, that I could not keep coming back to celebrate weddings and funerals. I took the time to affirm the strengths of the new pastor, and I let them know that I had given all that I could give. I used an image to compare the contributions that I made with the new pastor. I told them that I was good at hiking through the jungle and setting up the town, but that did not make a good mayor. I reminded them that their new pastor would be a great mayor of the new town that we had built together. The second example was when I left St. Meinrad as the founding director of the Institute for Priests and Presbyteries. I mistakenly thought I could keep the retirement part of that program and implement it from Louisville in my retirement. As attractive as that idea seemed at first, it severely threatened my replacement and triggered a period of extended personal pain for me personally. Instead of making a good ending, I thought staying on part-time would benefit the program. In hindsight, I was probably trying to hang on rather than embracing the pain of a clean break. I should have known better. When dealing with change, attitude is everything. Change without embracing the pain of going through the psychological reorientation of the neutral zone is to invite long-term anger, resentment, and confusion into your life. In the next part of this series, I'll talk about the second phase in a typical transition.